Hi everyone, this is Rehana Sher once again with another amazing episode of Corporate Insights. And today I'm very excited because the guest is very special. So the guest is Kesser Abbas, none other than, and I'm very excited to have him on my show. Kesser, as you all know, is an international award-winning coach. He coaches executives, he coaches especially CEOs in almost 40 countries, including Pakistan. And also, he has written book Speed Coaching recently on coaching, which is obviously as the name itself says. So I'm excited to have him on my show, and let's welcome Kesser Abbas. Hi, Kesser, how are you?
Assalamualaikum, and super excited to be able to finally
Likewise.
sit in your show. I often see you recording these shows when I pass by your office.
Yeah.
तो मैं खुद आपके शो के अंदर मौजूद हूँ. This is
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you didn't give me enough time. मैं अभी ऑफिस में आया हूँ. Ladies and gentlemen, and just उसी लम्हे में she grabbed me, and here I
Yeah.
am. अब मुझे नहीं पता ये मेरे साथ क्या करने वाली है.
Yeah, because I
Go
knew
ahead.
once he is busy, he has entered into office, he is going to be busy after it. So I did not want to lose this chance anyway, and I wanted to have
Mhm.
him on my show. So let's start, and you'll be getting to know so many answers to your questions that, and you have been requesting a lot, by the way. So the wait is over. So let's start the show and let's
Right.
ask him their first question. So, what are the most common blind spots you've encountered in the leaders?
I like your question because leadership coaching is precisely about helping individuals be able to see the blind spots. And I must tell the audience, everybody has blind spots, including my own self. And mostly we are unaware. And the purpose of the coaching is to be able to get into the limelight what we've been uh, avoiding or not being able to see. So there are many actually, because every coaching assignment brings a new set of opportunities and a new set of blind spots that the leaders exhibit. And I like to talk about not the most frequent ones, but also the most challenging ones, the ones that create a lot of impact. So if I look at my last 1 year of coaching, and I want to emphasize, I only coach CEOs. In the last few years, I was not coaching any CXOs. All my clients, 100% of them, they are CEOs. So one thing that I've noticed is that they overestimate something and then they underestimate something. And what they overestimate is, and this is the blind spot, they overestimate the personal influence on business, on team, on the board. They think they have the influence, but in reality, they the amount of influence that they think that they have, they don't have it. They think everybody in the organization understands their vision. They believe their team is totally aligned. But many a times I figure out and I help them see the blind spot that the amount of impact or influence that they believe that they don't have it. And they then underestimate something, and that is the impact of their tiny actions. So a tiny action would mean, just to give you an example, it could be they're too much focused on micromanagement, for instance. They think this action of theirs is not impacting much, or their inability to be a good listener or be able to become more welcoming if somebody walks into their office with a new suggestion or with an idea or with some sort of criticism. So they overestimate something and then they underestimate something. The second most frequent and most challenging and most dangerous, and I deliberately use the word dangerous, blind spot that I see CEOs having is they're too much, and I'm deliberately using the word too much, focus on short-termism. And I understand because these days, even the global CEOs, you might have read some management books and you might have been attending some international seminars that I do attend very frequently. I get to talk to some global coaches, and in my network, there are some finest speakers as well. And in my international travel also, I get to see that the CEOs who were previously reporting to their boards, maybe once a quarter, or not just the boards, I mean, they were coaching their bosses globally. And now they're supposed to sometimes go report on a monthly basis and sometimes on a weekly basis. And I spoke to one of the MNC's chief executive in Pakistan, and he told me I'm almost reporting to my boss on a daily basis. And this is because there's so much turmoil in the marketplace, there's so many challenges, and because of this shifting focus, the CEOs are not thinking long term. They are too busy addressing the challenging which is right here uh, in their face, so they lose the focus to be able to see what is coming ahead. So they are focused on short term at the expense of being more strategic. So two of the top CEOs that I'm coaching, and one coaching assignment represents Coaching an executive, meaning the CEO who runs an organization that has over 20,000 people. So imagine you run a company of 20,000 people and the board invites me to coach the CEO and they ask me to help the chief executive become more strategic. So being able to think month to month and quarter to quarter, this allows you to be more focused on the strategy. Third thing, these chief executives and leaders, they have a tendency, blind spot, they have a tendency to avoid difficult conversations. I think this is also one of my weaknesses. This is a major weakness, this major improvement area, because if I have to have a conversation, be it with my spouse, be it with my brother or with a close friend, so we have a fear of annoying the other person. We all want to avoid a conflict instead of having the ability, and I also like to use the word skill, to be able to run that conversation. We simply just avoid it. The chief executives, who are supposed to be some of the most successful people, and thousands of people look up to them, and everybody admires them, everybody wants to be just like them, and everybody wants to be just there where they currently are. And yet these chief executives, they have this blind spot of avoiding difficult conversations. And avoiding these conversations would create more distance. It creates sometimes lack of empathy. The other person may like to see the chief executive or the leader approaching them and having the strength and the time to be able to reach out to those people and have those conversations, but they keep avoiding. And this leads to one major, based on my experience, I've seen major, I call it crisis, and I call it a trust crisis. So when you are my boss and there is a difficult issue and you're avoiding it at the name of being very busy, and you would expect me to understand कि मैं तो बहुत busy हूँ, मेरे पास time ही नहीं है. And yet the time bomb is ticking, and someday this is gonna blast. So this is where I'm currently helping most of these CEOs develop the ability to be able to have those difficult conversations done on time.
Right.
I think there are more also, but I thought you might have other questions also.
So brilliantly explained. And I'm sure most of the executives and CEOs are going to relate with that. So, how do you feel personally that coaching itself effectively addresses all these blind spots?
Yeah, I think coaching is all about. Let me tell you first what coaching is not. Coaching is not telling somebody what to do. Coaching is not telling Rehana, your focus is too much on short-termism. You can't tell an executive that you are always avoiding negative conversations or difficult conversations. So the fundamental tool that you have as a coach, and you're an executive coach yourself, and you would know it already. And a lot of people who understand coaching, they would know that the first and the foremost tool that we have as coaches is what we call self-awareness. So coaching is not telling people what to do. Even the small kids don't like to be told. Nobody like to be told. So when you're telling somebody, it also means that you are doubting someone's own ability to be able to see those blind spots. When you constantly keep telling me what to do, also you're not trusting my own resourcefulness. You don't trust I'm a smart, capable individual. So when I'm coaching these executives, I believe, and actually those individuals are some of the finest brains in the country, some of the top brains in their organizations. So my job is not to tell them what to do. And this is where we begin to annoy other people. When you tell somebody that they're not doing good, they feel like being criticized, they feel like being judged. So as coaches, our biggest tool is to be able to engage those leaders in a very safe environment. Our job is to be actually able to hold a mirror for them. कभी आपका नहीं मुझे पता, बट हम मेल्स जब जाते हैं किसी हेयर कट के लिए, तो वो पीछे से तो नजर नहीं आते, तो फिर वो मुझे अपना बचपन का वो बार बार याद आता है, मिरर लेके यूं दिखाता था, तो फिर पीछे नजर आते थे कि आपके बाल सही है कि नहीं है. तो यू होल्ड अ मिरर. बट अगर किसी का यहाँ पे गन पड़ रहा है, तो वो देख के दी पर्सन कैन बी वेरी अनकंफर्टेबल. ओ माय गॉड, दिस इज हाउ आई लुक, राइट? सो something that you've not been able to see previously, when somebody shows it to you, you become very uncomfortable. You could be defensive, you could be shocked, you could be resistant to what you saw. So your job and my job as executive leadership coaches is to be able to not only show and hold a mirror for them, but also to be able to provide what we call psychological safety. And this is my biggest advantage because I'm by education an organizational psychologist. So a lot of people don't understand that their job is not just to hold a mirror, because what they see could be terrifying. It could be damaging to their own self-image because I thought I'm a very smart, good-looking person, whereas the mirror says you're losing hair over here. And frontal view से मुझे कभी दिखा ही नहीं और इस वाले view से मुझे पता चला, oh my God. And I suddenly lose my self-confidence and I suddenly begin to become a little more conscious about my own looks. So likewise, of all the CEOs that I coach, उनको लगता है कि वो best of the best है, which is true in most of the cases. और जब हम feedback लेते हैं from a variety of people, for instance, to feedback from the chairman of the board, और बोर्ड में 11 लोग हैं तो मैंने 4 लोगों से फीडबैक उठाया एंड आई स्पोक टू अदर से मैं एक एमएनसी के सीईओ को कोच कर रहा हूँ तो एशिया पैसिफिक में उसके 5 और स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं। तो जब हम वैसे मिलते हैं एक दूसरे से रहना तो हम नहीं बताते कि कैसर बास तुम कितने बुरे इंसान हो, बिकॉज हम सोचते हैं हमें क्या दिलचस्पी कैसर की इंप्रूवमेंट में, अगर इसमें कोई खामी है तो रहे, अच्छा है, इसमें खामी रहे, अच्छा है, इसको पता ही ना चले, बिकॉज डीप डाउन somehow if I have not developed a good working relationship, if not earned any respect and have not been able to build a connection with my fellow workers and my colleagues, तो आप जानती हैं कि sometimes when we have blind spots and we are not aware of it and others see it, तो कोई है जिसको बड़ी खुशी हो रही होती है कि अब ये एक्सपोज हो रहा है, तो एक सॉरी टू यूज वर्ड एक बड़ी कमीनगी सी वाली खुशी होती है हमें दूसरों को गिरता हुआ देख के समटाइम्स। लेकिन जिन लोगों से वी आर एफिलिएटेड और जिन लोगों से हम मोहब्बत करते हैं, जिनकी हमें परवाह है, व्हेन दे आर फॉलोइंग वी रियली फील हर्ट, शायद उनसे ज्यादा हर्ट हम हो रहे होते हैं। मैं थोड़ा ऑफ ट्रैक ना हो रहा हूँ, बट leaders when they're not able to establish greater bond with the people around them, they don't tell and they don't highlight those blind spots. But when our leadership coach like you and I, we go and we provide them psychological safety as well. कि आप जो बताओगे it will be confidential. Or a CEO had traveled to almost 6 countries to meet his direct reports and other colleagues in his system. And since it was a multinational, so I prefer to meet people. आप कहेंगे कि तुम पुराने जमाने के हो, और yes, मुझे लगता है कि जूम से ज्यादा if I get a chance to meet somebody in person, तो जो मैं वहां पे establish करने के बाद कनेक्शन जो मालूमात निकलवाता हूँ, वो एक नॉर्मल 360 में या फिर नॉर्मल एक क्वेश्चनर या सर्वे में नहीं आती। So when I have all that information and now I have to go and show it to the executive that I'm coaching, तो वो देख के तो the person may lose their self-confidence and lose their self-esteem for some time and begin to feel demotivated or depressed. So मेरा ये काम है कि वो सारी मालूम है, this is how I'm trained to be able to pass on that information to the executive in a manner that does not create a telling experience. It creates a self-awareness experience. तो उसको इस तरह से वो मालूमात उसके सामने आती है कि जैसे ये उसने खुद डिस्कवर किया, जैसे कि कैसर अब्बास ने उसको बताया कुछ नहीं है। तो दैट्स an art that I've learned by investing a lot of money working with Dr. Marshall Goldsmith. So, and I've surely taught all of that to all the 350 coaches in my network. उन सबको मैंने वो टूल सिखाए कि आपने किस तरह वो सेफ्टी क्रिएट करके वो सेल्फ अवेयरनेस बिल्ड करनी है, नो फॉर दीज हाईली टैलेंटेड स्मार्ट रिसोर्सफुल पीपल। एक बार इनको पता चल जाए कि दिस इज एन एरिया they need to improve, they're emphasizing on this. उनको ये लगना चाहिए कि उनकी अपनी डिस्कवरी है वर्सेस कि बाहर से कोच आया कैसर अब्बास, इसने आके मुझे बताया है जो मुझे नहीं पता था। तो I show them the mirror, I hold a mirror for them and provide them this safety psychological sense में, and then they are able to use their own self-awareness to be able to do something about the blind spot. Yes.